There should be a symbol of a microphone in the bottom of the lower end.
It seems like everyone's learned it.
There we go.
There. Clean. Good. Thank you. So thanks for sharing your time and coming to us with this presentation. In normal circumstances, we'd love to have you here or visit you, but in these circumstances, this is the best way we can do it, and hopefully we'll get some things out of it. So first of all, I would just introduce sort of our crew, Soundware, DHD people. So we have William Dion with us, he's a sales manager in Denmark. Per Jønland, our technical manager in Norway. Ketil, sales manager in Norway. I, who runs sort of the DHD in Scandinavia for Soundware in Norway. And also we have with us Christoph Gottert, who is the sales manager, international sales manager. I think that's the correct title, is it, Christoph? Yes, thumbs up from Germany with us, from the factory there. So today we will do something like this. Probably you noticed we have like one big presentation, and also we have a camera on the screen, so maybe I'll point to the screen. So you can actually choose which one we will have, large or small, I think. So today we will record the presentation, and it's not that we have too many secrets, but this is made for DR, and so we prefer to keep it inside DR, if it's okay.
That's really okay.
Good. So first I'll just introduce us and this constellation we have. Then Per will introduce you to a new expression called Yangam style. We'll see if we get some dancing. And then I will talk a little bit on how to move outside, which all broadcasters are talking about these days. And hopefully we will manage to have a live demo in the end. So Ketil will show some things that we have running here in our office. And in the end, hopefully I have some questions to us. Also, I would say that this presentation is not too technical. We have heard that there are various needs in this group, and some are very technical and some are not so technical, so we sort of keep it on a conceptual level for now. And hopefully you will invite us back, or we have a chance to go deeper technically when that's needed. So a little bit very short about DHD for those of you who are not familiar. It was first started in '94 and by two gentlemen, Jörg Deubner and Sven Hoffmann. Therefore the name Deubner.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask a question? Is it possible that you can make a full screen presentation? Because I only see a very, very small picture of this.
I think that's possible to do within your...
Yes, you need to double click the picture you would like to enlarge.
I see. Okay. Okay.
So then you can choose who you want to look at. Likely. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yes. Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Mr. Deubner and Mr. Hoffmann started the company, and therefore it's called DHD, Deubner Hoffmann Digital. And what's nice is that those engineers are still in charge of the company together. Also, their focus is broadcast, radio, and one of the things we are proud of is that everything is happening inside the company in Leipzig, both development and manufacturing. So very quick, hopefully you have a chance to go to this beautiful building in Leipzig one day. Soundware, you probably know much better, is part of the Damon Group. We have subsidiaries in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. And also owned by Dan Technologies is Damon Systems, and like you know, ATG, and also some manufacturing companies. This gives Also very tight with DHD Audio. So Per and Ketil here with the Norwegian office have been working with DHD for the last at least 14 years. And not so long ago, we formed a new constellation where this team in Norway, who have been working with DHD for a long time, also supports our colleagues in Denmark and Sweden to see if we can do the same success as we had in Norway. So also worth to mention is that since we are a system integrator and a distributor, we are sort of independent, and we are working closely with other companies. So just the support around DHD, which is the topic for this day. We also have a lot of codec brands. You see Prodis, Digigram, also the Telus Alliance with Axia, even competitors of DHD, where we admit that. We have also Play Out.
And the main thinking in the Yangam radio has elements from the needs from NRK and also from Swedish radio and other customers that we have met during the last years. And we try to put everything together. And of course, everything starts with the traditional hardware. This is the console that we sold very many of into NRK and all Norwegian broadcasters. This is the legendary 4200 console from DHD, which has given us very much experience over the year. We have also the larger consoles, and it's important to tell that radio is the core business of DHD. Oh. I think someone should.
Somebody has children in the background.
Yeah.
Somebody has some children running. Can you mute the mic?
Someone can mute the children.
Can you please mute the mic? The microphone muted.
Anyway, I'll just. Yeah. For DHD, radio is the core business. A lot of other console manufacturers are making consoles for a variety of purposes, but for DHD, they really know radio. And also, we'd like to also emphasize that it's the German company, German quality. Everything built in German, everything Germany, and so it's a very good product, reliable in our views. So the traditional hardware was, I can still remember, I have been in Danish radio before with some Frigg consoles. There we can talk about traditional hardware, where you need quite some lorries to bring the consoles in place. These days, the hardware is much smaller. This console that we can see on top here, it could be also split into its separate modules, and it's a tabletop console, which means that it's no longer need to cut holes in the tables. And the I/O and the processor units are very small and easy to put in different locations. And also, the wiring between the modules is very simple. It's very easy to install a console like this. But of course, following up the traditional consoles, we have the monitors on top, and in the end, people are asking, is it possible to use only those monitors and get rid of the rest of the hardware? And yes, of course it is. So you could now replace the whole hardware with just screen and put all the mixer on a screen alone. And one of the good things with that is that you can tailor make screens as you want them. So it's you can create your own designs. You can make the views exactly like you want them. And also all these views in the DHD system is web-based, which means that you need a web browser. And you can, as long as you have a web browser, you're able to see the different views. So with these views, it's possible to get, as you can see from the mixer core, you can bring out whatever view you want. But you can also, in addition to that, combine these views with anything from a computer or also from some central computer area. So it's very easy to build these screen views, combining elements from various sources. And with a lot of protocols, Ember Plus and a lot of other, it's very easy to have these units connected together. So when we are going to create a mixer in this environment, what is the main points? What we see is that this kind of mixer must control much more than just the audio. And in fact, you can argue if it's really the audio mixer that is in the core, or if the audio mixer is just one of the parts forming a graphical user interface. It's important when you have this web design, you can make layouts depending on the size of the screen. If you are looking on a small tablet, if you're looking at your mobile phone, or if you have a larger screen, you can have different layouts. And also, of course, it's important you can have different layouts depending on the operations. If you are an on-air programmer, if you are a guest in a show, if you are a producer, you will need different views, different layouts. But to make one total concept, it's very easy that you can recognize that this is your part of a Young layout. And that is done with that all the text and labels within the system must be easy to recognize, easy to understand. I have always said that the difference between a good and a poor digital mixer could be the names and labels. And also the use of colors that is consistent between all the different layouts. So how do we create, or how are we forming a Young radio mixer? First, we take this monitor and we divide it in 3 areas. And I've located the areas here, which is one possible way of doing it. And this is the work area, it's the master area, and it's the fader area. And where you want to put it is depending on what kind of operation and the size of the screen. The work area would typically be used for the playout system. We are using Digas here, but other systems are working as well. This area will also be used for setup of lines and telephones, setup of the mixer, setup of mixer parameters like equalizers and other things. and other external views if needed. The master section will be telling the user status, login name things, program status, if you are on air, if you are recording, program and monitor meter, monitor selector, what you are wanting, what you are listening to, monitor levels, and a set of fixed talkback buttons, talkback to MCR and other destinations. In the fader area, you typically will have a number of channel names with their start-stop possibilities, access button to get detailed information about the fader, PFL talkback conference system, a PPM telling if you have audio on the source, maybe a timer, a channel type indication telling if the source is a machine or playout type, or if it's a microphone, if it's a telephone. Routing indication if you are routed to the main program bus, or if it's routed to a group, whatever. And some kind of on-air signaling, the red lights for the channel. So these are the elements we think is important to put in into a mixer like this. And Ketil will show you an example of how we've implemented this with a DHD system. The mixer environment, it's with this modular and web-based system, it's very easy to make a small cell. This is the main, the smallest studio package we can think of with this DHD system, where you have the core, DSP mixer core, with some I/O, in this case 4 microphones, 4 headphones. I put in a switch, and we can use Dante for the loudspeakers, and we have a small PC with the touch screen where you are running all the radio. So in this case, all the wires are with the Cat6 except for the HDMI and USB cable for the monitor. So it's a very simple setup like this. Very small footprint, very low power consumption. The small modules and very simple wiring. And of course, it's possible also to add a fader module if that is needed. Yeah, I think that was the Yangam presentation, and I leave the word for Christian again.
So, thank you. So I've said in the beginning that we have questions in the end, but if there are some questions to Per, maybe it's time now, or we can take everything later. It was a really good explanation, so everybody understands everything. Good. So the next topic is a little bit on how to produce outside. In Swedish radio, Silla Benke, the head of Swedish radio, said a few years ago that nothing happens inside this building. Everything happens outside. So we want to produce where people are. And after I heard this first time, like 7 or 8 years ago, many more people are saying this. I think it's a hot topic these days. So in the old days, where do we come from? This is where we come from. This is a Frigg, isn't it, Per?
No, it's older.
It's older. Okay, Per is an old CM guy. CM, so you probably know. This is not so easy to move. If you have a forklift, it's okay, but so today, this is also like a step that you know much better. But even with this modern digital systems, it's not so easy to move outside. So this is where we are now, and we have this compact package that Peter is talking about. So of course, the first thing you can say is that it's quite easy to move the whole thing out to make like a modular studio. It's not so hard with these units, but still we can do more, or we can do. It's not always necessary to move the whole studio out, and you can move parts of it. So in this package, we have, of course, all the same as in the old mixer. We have the I/O, we have the core, we have the control system and the monitoring on the screen. So I'll first talk a little bit of this control and monitoring, which is done by web, like Per explained. So this is like one flavor of this. We move everything out since it's a web browser. We can integrate the other systems, like in this case, a DGAS playout. This is how this is based on Swedish radio design. This is another example of a design with DGAS as well. And you see this side is, this frame is coming from the mixer. So this is DHD. The rest is coming actually directly from the David system. So this is totally flexible and up to you actually how to configure it. And since this is based on HTML and web, all the hardware needed is a browser. It's a PC with a browser. So it could be a PC, a tablet, a phone, iPhone, whatever. So and also it's possible to sense the screen resolution you have, so you can then select the correct layout for your screen resolution. Even other example. So this is a DRA rundown just to show that it's possible with other as well. And in this this example, these two iframes are coming from the DHD mixer. And even if you like, you can have faders on the screen, on the touch screen. Even German language we have here. Everything is possible. And also, like you see in the small frame in the bottom, it's possible to control EQs and other processing from the screen. It's maybe not something you want to give to a journalist, but maybe a supervisor or an engineer somewhere that can help journalists. So back to this, we have done this core system, and we have the two lines that sort of shows that this is outside. And to extend the web user interface to outside is not so hard. I just explained. So how do we then move audio, which is pretty much the rest of the system? Of course, you can use a really long microphone cable. It's not very practical in most cases. Also, the APC ports that connect this unit to the core is possible to extend 100 meters. For some systems, that will be enough. But in most cases, you will need an audio over IP system, a codec, or some kind of interface in between the core and the outside unit. And the routing of the signals will probably be done by a traditional routing system, either if it's IP or MADI or whatever it is. Just to mention, we also support both Dante and Ravenna AES67. So we are sort of agnostic on the infrastructure that the clients are choosing. And we can also actually mix them together to have like a bridged system. And the control of this Ravenna i67 card is done via MB+, and so it integrates very well into any other control system. So so if you have like one microphone cable and one headset cable via codec, you have a web user interface. It's actually possible to move most of the roles outside. For instance, the host, a guest, the producer, or whatever. So the producer will get his panel, the guest will get his panel. So just depending on the role, you give different control. So what happens if it's more than one person that you want to extend? So we need two long microphone cables. And if the case is that you have a host that is somewhere else and a producer that is even some other place, then you can just extend the two with two different codecs or whatever you use, and two different user interfaces chosen for their role. So the problem occurs at the time they are located in the same acoustical space, because then they can hear each other, and with the delta time that is always introduced in a codec line, you need some way to handle with this latency issue. So our solution to that is to bring in a core. We have a small core here which can mix down those signals coming in from the remote location, and there's two ways to handle this. Either you down mix this at a remote location and send a stereo with a minus mix in return. Then you save some bandwidth for the codec. The other way around is to use this core outside just as a local latency-free monitoring mix to give to the local people, and just extend all the microphone signals to the core here, and send one minus mix to each guest over there. So if you have more bandwidth or more codecs, this is maybe the most flexible way to do it, and we'll actually operate this core on that user interface, and this core will act as a remote or a local remote monitoring system. So there's several ways to cope for these problems, and probably it's different from each scenario of what you're going to do. If you look closely at this picture, the picture on the left side and the right side of these lines are actually identical. So in this case, we have moved a small core, some microphones, maybe you don't need the speakers, but actually need a codec and you need some kind of screen. So then there will be a debate. Is it actually worth having a remote system like that, or is it easier to just move the whole studio outside? Back again, if you're just as an example, what if the end of this codec is a guest, a browser, and a WebRTC codec? So actually we have done some testing with making dedicated guest user interfaces. For instance, they can write in their names, so you know that you get the name on the console, right? You can give them an auto gain button, so they can adjust actually their own gain on their own microphone. You can give them countdowns or talkback status or whatever you need to give this particular guest. It's some possibilities out there. And then, what if the end of this codec is a guest, a browser, and a WebRTC codec on a plane? Just because you have the picture from a plane with a user interface, just as an ID. And since we are in this business, we need to show you this short video that we, my colleague Ketil and I recorded just before IBC last year. It took us like 1 minute recording it, and we have no idea that it will be so popular on YouTube. So it has been seen by, I don't know how many thousand now. But this is a very good illustration on how to do a remote system. And the illustration is that this is a Tesla with a browser. So there's no special hardware in the car. And of course, it's not a cable. It's just the web interface inside the car. And we made this. So please turn up your speakers and listen.
Hi there, this is Ketil and Christian from Soundware Norway, just demonstrating how to run a Turbo Player and DHT web interface in a Tesla 3 with the built-in LTE modem. So let's play some music. Wow. So we can dim the audio bit, and we can pick and fade out. And as a proof that we got bi-directional audio, we can switch on the microphone and we will actually see the ppm meter showing the inputs in. And the funny thing, this QR code is actually the link for your phone to get audio back and forth to the system. That's Ketil and Christian from Soundware.
Goodbye.
See you at IBC.
So yeah, we had big success with this movie, and a lot of people wanted to talk to us after that because it illustrates so well what's possible with this new technology. So let me go further. Yeah, before I end and sort of give the word to Ketil and his live demo, it'll just remind you that we, as Per told you, we also support the previous generation or the current generation, I would more say. So just showing you a few pictures, also live installations. This is like an ordinary radio studio that you've seen before. This is a small editing room, something with aspect ratio. We have big mixers, small mixers, maybe a portable mixer, and also the most modern big mixer that we have. So everything is running on the same hardware, and it's up to you to choose how to build your system. So that was my last slide. So I don't know if there is any questions for us up till now. If not, we'll try to, yeah. Question there. I didn't get that question. Okay, everybody's happy. Okay.
Hallo?
Hej, Bent.
Jeg har bare et spørgsmål om de der applikationer inde på skærmen, du viste på et tidspunkt. Er der også nogle planer om at have en integration for eksempel til et VSM-panel? Kunne man forestille sig det?
Ja.
Maybe we should do it in English.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we work so close with Germany that it soon understands Scandinavian. But this is a question about integrating VSM. And actually what we have done or seen is that VSM has these new web panels. And with those, it's quite easy to integrate into just as an iframe into the solution. So we actually shown this for NRK. And we will also do it that way in this new lab project we are doing together with NRK now.
Yeah, but just because the web panels is a little demand, you do not have the same possibilities like the normal panel. So
that's true. That's true. So I mean, the integration to VSM and DHT is based on either the ECP protocol, external remote protocol, and also with Ember Plus. So you get most of the parameters in the system into VSM. And then how to integrate VSM into the web panel, that's another discussion. Of course, I've seen people do it with like a remote desktop thing. So but the easiest way now and the easiest way for us is to integrate a web panel.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes,
Here.
please.
The automatic gain control you're talking about, how does it work?
Yeah. It actually works. It's like a one-button solution. So you need to talk into a microphone after pressing the button, and then you have a time frame. So within a few seconds, the system measures the gain that's coming in. And if the gain is, let's say nobody is actually talking into the microphone, then you will, in some systems, apply plus 80 dB gain, which is not what you want. So it has like a qualification window. So it needs to see that the measurement is within certain limits. And if it is, it will apply this to the channel.
Nice. Thank you.
I also thought about that when I made the presentation, that we haven't spoken much about all nice features that's inside the DHT console. Of course, we have the auto mix, and we have some kind of pooling management systems, and there's a lot of features that I hope we get a chance to talk about another time. Anything else? I think Ketil needs some time. Yes?
Can I have a question?
Yes, go ahead, question.
Yeah. What about today? Radio is also very much about Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, SMS messages, text messages. What about integrating that into the user interface, or a filtering device that takes everything in, and maybe you want to know something about a certain rock group that is coming to town, and you want everything they got on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever.
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. We also have been thinking a lot of this, all this integration to any kind of external systems and any kind of external information. And our conclusion is that our system is a sound mixer, first of all. And of course, in the old days, the sound mixer had to be in front of the host. So therefore, it's like a normal to have in front of the host. But we are talking about is actually the sound mixer what you need in front of you? Maybe it's a lot of other things. So we think it's just important to be able to pull out the most important parameters from the sound system that you need and put them where you need them, together with all the systems that give you the information you need. And so we don't think that the sound mixer has to react so much to these external systems just to be able to presentate the parameters when you need them, sort of. So we don't deliver a social media system, but we think we are able to integrate the control of our system with such a system.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one little comment, Christian.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to interfere, but I think Torsten is talking about, maybe you can talk a little bit about how to actually put the things on the screen, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. I think we all know what you mean. I mean, you can mix it on the screen in the web interface, but maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
How do you integrate things together, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, how do you make a radio studio look different in terms of putting a lot of information on screen? You know, a Facebook profile from somebody, maybe a rock group coming to town, and all that. If you want if you want some live updates regarding this rock group coming to town, and you want all these things somehow in front of you, maybe it's changing all the time, so you need to. It's just a comment from me, but you can talk about it as you want.
Maybe just a quick sort of refresh from what Pierre said earlier is that the DHD console gives out a web page, but this web page doesn't need to like cover your whole web page. So it can just be an iframe that is part of a bigger frame, and or a page, and this has to be put together by HTML code. It's very simple code, which is possible to do yourself. And it's also possible to do this more advanced with reverse proxy systems and with web hosts to tie everything together. So this is the technology used, and how you will end up making your system. I think just that DHD is not a social media company, and there are so many other companies that do good integration, like for instance Broadcast Bionics that we work with, that have solutions for it that we integrate very well with. So I also think that maybe it's the playout system that need to forward information to the social media system. I know there are social media systems that react on what kind of music you play and then automatically gives you information from web, for instance, on that kind of music, stuff like that. This is that time we really should have. Sorry.
Yeah, you say you work together with Bionic Systems.
We had William just had a project with Broadcast Bionics in Denmark. So
yes. That in Denmark, like I told Torben Jensen, is in Denmark. It was implemented Broadcast Bionics software controlling Telos VX Prime telephone hybrid. And I don't know all about it yet. I'm just in the process of getting it more into Broadcast Bionics software and all the different add-ons and the things they can offer. But yes, they have social media options and they have a lot of options. So we can just communicate about it as long as when we go along the next maybe 4 weeks we can talk about it. And but I think what Christian is saying, that you can put anything in this kind of interface that DHD offers. So as I hear it, Christian is saying that it's only our imagination that can stop us from doing the radio studio we want with this DHD.
Yeah.
What do you say, Christian?
Yeah, we are both sales guys, so we can say it that way.
Yeah.
It's only imagination. No, and a bit some technology, of course, but I mean it's HTML in the ground here, and it's what I think is good about it is that a lot of people know a lot about HTML and also how to run big websites behind firewalls and how to make it safe. So I think it's smart to tie together a little bit of this knowledge with our world, and then I think you're right, William. It's imagination that is the limit.
Yeah. Of course, what I like from my point of view, I would like you to somehow put together all your wish list. What do you want? Of course, you can jump out to Broadcast Bionics homepage and look at their social media add-on, but try to put together what you would want, if it should be the studio, the solution of your dreams, and then let us work on it, all of us and DHD. That's what we would like.